Welcome back to Real VR Fishing. I'm your host, Substatica. Before we get started, take a minute to click the S in the corner to subscribe. Heading for 10,000 subscribers. It'd be fantastic if you were one of them. Also like, share, leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the video or the game or any tips or tricks you have for Real VR Fishing. Now, they've recently pushed an update that's added not only some nice Valentine's Day decorations, but there's some new skins for the fish that are Valentine's Day themed. Now today, I thought we'd do some freshwater fishing in one of the more picturesque spots, and that's Crater Lake. I don't really have an agenda today. Just gonna toss the lure in, see what we can pull out of this lake. I haven't spent a lot of time at the freshwater locations. I've been mainly focused on saltwater. To be honest, I'm probably a bit rusty at the freshwater fishing. So definitely let me know your tips for freshwater fishing, if you believe that it differs from saltwater. I'd hit the bottom relatively shallow. We're using the freshwater casting rod A and casting reel A, and we are on expert mode, also using single-handed operation. Oh, we got something interested. Seems like a medium fish. Its resistance. Doing a lot of fighting, to be honest. But I think that's it. Largemouth bass. That doesn't look that largemouth to me. Okay, I see some distortions, I think, over there. They may just be reflections. It's a little tricky to see since there's so much color on this lake. Oh, I see something way out there. Let's try to cast to those. That's pretty good. They were bubbles, I think. So we'll let it sink to the bottom. Nope, we got something interested. Fish on, obviously. This one's got just a narrow margin. Might be something interesting. Usually when you find that a fish is acting different, kind of out of the ordinary, as far as how often it runs or how often the line turns red, that could tell you that it's one of the rare or epic fish. This one doesn't look like it, but it is kind of acting a bit different than other fish. So we'll see in a second. Another largemouth bass. Well, I couldn't have been more wrong on that, I guess. Exact same fish that we just pulled in. There's a surface distortion, I think. So let's see if we can interest whatever that is. Doesn't seem interested in our current bait, unfortunately. So maybe I'll switch to something else. Let's try to target that fish. So that's the metal jig. Let's go for the soft bait. Still no, oh, there we go. I was going to say no interest, but we got some red. Gotta stay focused. If you're having trouble reeling fish in, got a video on the tactics you need to use, steps you need to take. So I'll link to that in the description. But also, just as I mentioned, it's really easy to zone out in this game, and then you lose focus, and you lose the fish. Is this another bass? Yeah, see, I just zoned out there and didn't position my rod correctly for against the run. It's a battle against yourself more than the fish. Cutthroat trout. That's a pretty fish. Don't think I have one of those. Just having a look at the surroundings for a bit. I don't see any distortions right now, so we'll just cast out. Because the soft bait sinks slower than other baits, it can be a little more relaxing to use a soft bait because you're not constantly reeling. Just let it sink for a bit. I see something. It's about the same place it was before. So maybe that trout wasn't the fish we were targeting after all. There we go. That's right on the distortion. Okay. This is something small. I wasn't looking at that. Didn't see the jump. Green sunfish. Hey, little fella. Sunfish is one of the... Oh, that was a bad cast. Let's pull that back. I want to go straight down that way. That's better. Sunfish is one of the few fish that I've actually caught in real life. Okay, that's about the distance something was at, unless it's that distortion that's moved over to the right. Oh, coming back. Let's get our... There we go. Now we got its eye. Real close, too. Look at that. Northern pike, epic. Now, that's got a large mouth. Why isn't it the largemouth pike? 23 pounds. Well, that came in easier than I would expect from 23 pounds. Whatever happened to the northern pikes? Are they still touring? Seems like there's something out there. Maybe it's just bubbles. I'll let the lure sink. Oh, there we go. Got some red. Start reeling to keep the lure at the same depth as the fish when you get some interest. Just twitch it along, but don't let it sink too far. Don't pull it up too far or in. Tench. I used to catch a lot of these in Korea, I think. Like I said, I've been focusing on saltwater, so haven't caught a lot of these fish in a while. I also have a video on how to get fish on the hook. Put a link in the description to that as well. And one of the techniques to cover more ground is this flick. There we go, we got something interested. As you're reeling in, if you don't know where any fish are, you can kind of flick your bait across the water. Horizontally to cover more ground. Another sunfish. It is very sunny here. Don't see any indicators, so we'll just cast out. So there's the flick. You want to kind of flick it one direction, move it slowly back to the center, flick it again, and you can kind of ratchet your lure across the water. And then if you're letting it sink and pulling it back up, as well as flicking, you can cover kind of a lot of cubic feet of water to see. If anybody's interested in that bait, there's something there. Looks like it's pretty deep, so we'll try to flick over to it, and then we'll let the bait drop right about there. Oh, we did get some interest. Now the soft bait doesn't flick as well as some other baits. And you got to be careful when you move your rod back to not kind of double flick. Because depending on how much tension is in your line, you can flick your bait one way, and then when trying to move your rod back, you actually flick the bait back, and that kind of defeats the purpose. But depends on your goal, I guess. If you're not going anywhere specific, then back and forth maybe just as good. This looks like another bass or trout. So if you hear your reel, do the tension clicking, you've done something wrong. Yeah. You've held too far into the red, or you haven't fought a run correctly. You don't want to hear that noise, and if you do, you should try to consider what you may have done wrong in that scenario. In general practice, you may hear like 1 or 2 ticks, but you don't want to hear a sustained. The fish might not go into a rage, it might not go full on running out or snapping your line. But if it does that a little bit, you want to think about what you did wrong and then correct that for the next time. Because the perfect reel, and it's possible with any fish as far as I am aware, is that you should never hear that sound if you do everything correctly, and the fish will never rage out and run off with your line. Just going to let it sink to the bottom there. Wow, that is a slow sinking lure. There, I just felt the vibration of it touching the bottom. Slowly raise it back up. Flick around a bit. See if anything's interested. I don't know if you can hear that, but I'm getting some double flicks in there. Sometimes it's really hard to avoid the flick back and forth. Let's go over here. I haven't really spent a lot of time fishing on this side. Trying to keep an eye out for other distortions. Oh, we got some interest. I go into my stuttering reel to keep the bait at the same depth. Just twitch it enough to keep it at the same depth. Not pull it in too far, up too far, or let it sink too far. And then one of the main points in what I use to land the fish, it's like another bass or trout, is always return your rod to straight up center on the fish. I'm not going to get into all the details of how to land the fish. You can watch the other video for that. But one thing to keep in mind is if you're not doing something else with your rod, this way or that way, to counter the runs, and keep it upright, centered on the fish. Think of that as the home position for the rod, and that's going to give you the most options when it comes to reacting to what the fish does, whether it's going to run or jump. Which is pretty much the only two things they do. I know there's like secrets on each location, but I haven't looked too much into them. You know, there's something to look for as you're fishing at a location, whether it's whales or bears or seals. I don't see a lot going on at this location. So if anybody knows, just drop a comment. Let me know if there's something interesting that happens at this location, Crater Lake, that I should be watching out for, There's something over there. It looks kind of low in the water, so let's let it drop. Give it a little movement. There we go. Okay, something small. Brook trout. Came in easy. Just let it sink all the way to the bottom. There, felt it hit the bottom, little vibration. Give it a little flick action as I raise it back up. Let it drop back down again. You can just imagine the path that lure is taking in the water and how much area it's covering as you let it drop and raise it back up and flick it to the side. And if you can get that to make a pretty varied path across the lake or the body of water, then you're going to have the best chance of interesting a fish. Did I see red there for a second? I'm not sure. Oh. Coming up dry on that one. Oh, there's something. Something small. Oh, it's got a little bit of fight in it. Small with fight can be very lucrative. Or not. Just another tench. Okay, we hit bottom. Start bringing it back up. Not seeing any distortions in the water to indicate targets. Okay, let's pull this one in. Go back out here. bottom. Hit the bottom again, raise it back up. Well, it seems like there's nothing over there. Nothing interested in what we're offering, at least. Oh. Come on. This one's a little feisty. Let's see, I held too long. That's why I got a little bit of noise there. Real too far into the run. But 3 ticks, 4 ticks usually is all right. You're still gonna land the fish, but doesn't mean you didn't do anything wrong. Still made a mistake. Just like that. See, I'm getting a bit complacent. Walleye. At least he's new. Well, there you go. A little fishing in Crater Lake. Caught ourselves a northern pike. I think we'll wrap it up. If you haven't already, take a minute to click the S in the corner to subscribe. Heading for 10,000 subscribers. I'd love to have you on the team. Also, like, share, leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the video, or the game, or any tips or tricks you have for freshwater fishing. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.